Alton Towers is the UK's most popular theme park, attracting millions of visitors every year. Despite its popularity, there are some layers to the iceberg that are little known by the general public. And I noticed that nobody had made a video like this before, so I made an iceberg chart, and this video will explain the facts and theories of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg, or more commonly known facts about the resort, but as we delve deeper, it gets more and more obscure. Before we jump in, I would like to issue a trigger warning, since there are some dark stories involving attempted suicide and life-changing injuries within this video. Opening in 1980, Corkscrew was among the first double inversing coasters in the UK. It was very popular and was key for the success of the theme park in its early years. Unfortunately, the coaster became increasingly rough throughout its lifetime, and after 28 years it was retired in 2008 and was later replaced by 13 in 2010. To this day, the iconic Corkscrew is remembered fondly by the public, and the double inversion element of the coaster is now displayed at the entrance plaza of the park. Air was the world's first B&M flying coaster, with the concept conceived by John Maudley in 1994. Construction was originally supposed to begin in 1998, however due to the complexity of its design and technological limitations, construction was delayed until 2001, with the coaster opening in 2002. The name Air was in fact an acronym for Aerial Inversion Ride. In 2015, Air was rethemed to Galactica, originally featuring virtual reality. However, due to complaints from guests about the VR headsets not working and spoiling the ride experience, the VR feature was phased out completely by the 2019 season, leaving the Galactica theme somewhat redundant. Oilblivion is a B&M dive coaster. Opening in 1998, it was marketed as the world's first vertical drop roller coaster. This implies that the drop is at a 90-degree angle, when in fact the angle is 87 degrees, making it not quite a vertical drop. The reason for an 87-degree angle, rather than a 90-degree angle, is due to the design of the wheels on the train. If there was a small obstacle on the track, then the wheels would essentially bounce down the track, creating an uncomfortable ride experience. Oilblivion was the prototype for this design, which has been further developed in other models. However, Oilblivion is still one of the most iconic coasters in the UK. Hex: The Legend of the Towers opened in 2000. This Vagoma madhouse tells the story of the 15th Earl of Shrewsbury and the Chained Oak. The story describes how the Earl was cursed by a beggar when he refused to give her money. The curse was that, for every branch that fell from the old oak tree, a member of the Earl's family would die. Following a storm, which caused a branch to fall from the tree, a member of the Earl's family suddenly passed away. The Earl then proceeded to chain the oak to prevent any branches from falling. Alton Towers added to this legend that the Earl took the fallen branch and performed experiments on it, keeping it sealed in a vault deep within the towers. Without going into too much detail, to avoid spoiling the ride for people who have not experienced Hex, this causes strange things to happen inside the vault. The ride was closed throughout the 2022 season, but opened once again towards the end of the season. Reportedly, the closure was due to the difficulty in sourcing a new part which was needed for the ride. Hopefully, this ride will remain operating for many years to come. In 2019, Alton Towers opened the Stargazing Pods, a camping-style accommodation. The pods are very small, but can accommodate up to 4 guests. The Stargazing name was given to this site since 3 telescopes were installed for guests to use. However, this was not received well by the public, with complaints of the cramped accommodation lack of toilet facilities and lack of accessibility for disabled guests. The pods, however, do offer an affordable option to stay on site. The Blade is the oldest attraction at Alton Towers. Opening in 1980, it was initially called Pirate Ship and was located in Fantasy World, now known as X Sector. The arrival of Oilblivion in X Sector led to the pirate ship being reborn as the Blade in 1997, and it was moved to Forbidden Valley as a replacement for Thunderlooper. During the 2018 closed season, the Blade underwent an extensive overhaul, with the boat itself being stripped back to its metal components, which was shot blasted, treated and painted. This gave the attraction a very fresh look, matching the surrounding Forbidden Valley. John Broome was the former director for Alton Towers until 1991 and was responsible for the transformation of the resort from the historic estate to the modern-day theme park we know today. In July 1981, a new addition to the park was the Wild Water Flume, also known as the Log Flume or simply the Flume. This was the park's first large-scale engineering project, with a purpose-built reservoir for the water supply. The aim of the project was to create the world's longest flume. The ride was approximately 5 minutes long and took in the breathtaking scenery of the park, with the main features of the attraction being the 3 drops and 2 tunnels. In 1984, some prehistoric theming from Dinosaurland was added to the ride, with dinosaurs in the woodland areas and a prehistoric family in the tunnel section. In 2004, the ride was rethemed, marking a sponsorship with Imperial Leather, a soap manufacturer. The new theming featured bathtub-shaped boats, showers and rubber ducks, one in particular that sparked fear in riders. At the start of the 2016 season, it was sadly announced that the Flume would close permanently to make way for a new project. Parts of the ride were sold via auction, including the bathtubs. The influence of the Flume can still be seen in the park, with a section of the track remaining. This could not be removed due to concerns it could impact the surrounding area. The Smiler had a very rocky opening year. It was originally supposed to open to the public in March 2013. However, due to an incident, the opening was delayed by 2 months. During a preview event in May 2013, one of the trains became stuck on the lift hill, resulting in an evacuation and delaying the official opening further. In June of the same year, the coaster stalled several times during testing, leading to the ride being closed for several days. In July 2013, debris fell off the track, causing a section of the track to disengage. This led to an evacuation of 48 people from the coaster. During the same month, cracks were found in one of the coaster supports. In November 2013, 4 people were injured when guide wheels detached from the chain guide as the train was going up the vertical incline section. The biggest incident occurred in June 2015, where human error caused a fully loaded train to collide with an empty train. 11 riders required medical attention, with 5 seriously injured. In the following weeks, 2 of the riders required partial leg amputations. The Smiler was then closed until March 2016. Enterprise is one of the longest-serving attractions at Alton Towers. Opening in 1984 in the then Festival Park section of the park. Since 1998, Enterprise has been located in X Sector, between the final turn of neighbouring Oilblivion. Enterprise is a thrill ride, with no seatbelt or harness. You are forced to rely on the circular force of the ride, which makes it all the more exciting and terrifying. Recently, there has been a lot of speculation regarding the future of Enterprise. Since the beginning of 2022 theme park season, it has been closed, with visitors to the park noticing that the ride has been disassembled. Alton Towers seemed to confirm that the ride was closing, with a reply to a tweet regarding Enterprise. But more recently, it seems that the ride is being put back together. It seems that we will have to wait and see what the future holds for Enterprise. 2005 saw the opening of a new roller coaster at Alton Towers. Her name was Rita, Queen of Speed, and it was marketed as your best Alton Towers ride ever. The main feature of the ride was the fast launch, supposedly blasting riders from 0 to 100 km per hour in 2.5 seconds. However, the maximum speed of the coaster is actually 98 km per hour. In 2010, Rita lost her crown due to a retheme of the area. The then Ogland became the Dark Forest, and the former Queen of Speed is now known simply as Rita. The control cabin became shrouded in vines to suit the theme of the Dark Forest, and a new ominous-sounding voiceover was added to the start of the ride. If you have ever visited Alton Towers, you may notice that most of the roller coasters are not very tall, and some are even built underground, such as Nemesis and Oilblivion. This is because restrictions imposed by local authorities mean that the park are not permitted to build above the tree line. Some of the coasters, such as Rita and Galactica, even have sections of the track painted green to blend with the surrounding trees. Nemesis is one of the oldest operating roller coasters at Alton Towers and has been many visitors' favourite coaster since it opened in 1994. In January 2022, speculation began about the future of the coaster, as the resort submitted an application for a certificate of lawfulness to perform maintenance on Nemesis. The maintenance will include replacement parts of the coaster track, replacement of 89 of the 117 columns and the associated track in these areas, removal of 636 bolts, which will be replaced and regrouted, localized maintenance undertaken to the theming buildings as required, and strengthening of bases. The maintenance of Nemesis commenced at the end of the 2022 theme park season, and the coaster is expected to be closed throughout 2023, with the retrack hopefully being completed for Nemesis's 30th birthday in 2024. Although the roller coaster itself will not change, Nemesis designer John Wardley hinted that there will be some surprises and changes to the theming when Nemesis reopens. 1984 saw the introduction of a brand new style of coaster for Alton Towers. Based on the concept of Disney Space Mountain, the black hole was established. Hidden inside a tent, this coaster was a mystery to many and doubled visitor numbers from 1 million to 2 million. In its early years, due to single-car trains, the coaster faced very long queue times and struggled to keep up with demand. However, this was overcome by an overhaul to the coaster in 1987, where the track was reprofiled in order to accommodate coupled trains, and as a result, greatly improving the capacity of the black hole, or Black Hole 2 as it was renamed when it opened in 1988. It was later named as New Black Hole in 1989. With the construction of Oilblivion in 1998, the area of Fantasyland was renamed to X Sector, which led to a retheme of the black hole, including the surrounding tent painted from yellow and green to dark blue. The black hole went on to have a successful life until 2005, where it was decided the coaster was becoming too costly to maintain. On the 5th of March 2005, the black hole took its final voyage, after which it was closed permanently after 21 years of operating. It stood standing but not operating until the next season, and was eventually dismantled and awaiting its fate. In 2007, the black hole finally departed Alton Towers, and 3 years later, it opened as Rocket at Furuvik in Sweden. In 2021, Rocket was put up for sale by the park, and the future of the coaster is currently unclear. The tent which housed the black hole remained in X Sector, where it hosted 2 scare mazes in 2011. It was later removed to make way for the construction of the Smiler in 2012. The secret weapon codename is one that has been given to all the biggest developments in the park's recent history. Secret Weapons 1 and 2 were planned before the park became part of the Two Swords group, and unfortunately never came to be. Secret Weapon 3, Nemesis. Nemesis was the first inverted roller coaster to be installed outside of the US, and the second in the world. Nemesis was the coaster to put Alton Towers on the global theme park map. Secret Weapon 4, Oilblivion. Oilblivion, which opened in 1998, was marketed as the world's first vertical drop coaster. The mystery surrounding the coaster's construction was sparked by the secrecy of the project, with the resort recruiting a security guard to patrol the construction site. Secret Weapon 5, Air. Opening in 2002, Air, although it was not the world's first flying coaster, it was the world's first B&M flying coaster. The construction of SW5 was much less secretive than previous projects, with the model of the coaster being presented in Towers Trading, and the encouragement of guests to gaze at the construction site. Secret Weapon 6, 13. In 2010, 13 became SW6, and the world's first vertical freefall drop coaster. Between the construction of FW5 and 6, there was an 8-year gap, sparking speculation into whether the resort was done with the Secret Weapon codename. However, in 2009, SW6 was announced, and the codename reborn. Secret Weapon 7, The Smiler. The Smiler, which opened in 2013, was and still is the world's only 14-looping coaster. This was also the first Gerstlauer infinity coaster in the world, and to this day, the Smiler offers a very unique ride experience. Secret Weapon 8, Wicker Man. The resort's most recent secret weapon, Wicker Man, opened in 2018 and claimed to be the world's first roller coaster experience, fusing wood and fire. There have been previous plans for a wooden roller coaster at the park, but Wicker Man was the first to be built. At Scarefest 2011, banners were presented advertising the arrival of Nemesis, What Lies Beneath, which would be unleashed in 2012. A military tank named the Stag appeared in Forbidden Valley, and on New Year's Eve 2011 at 1818, a video was released giving further detail of the new attraction, including the backstory, the phalanx, and the catacombs beneath Forbidden Valley. Its name was announced as Nemesis Subterra, and it was advertised as Your Worst Nightmare Underground. The story of Nemesis Subterra was closely related to the story of the original Nemesis. The ride opened on the 24th of March 2012 with a 12A rating and a height restriction of 1.4 meters. Early reviews of the ride, however, were not positive, citing that the ride was not as scary as it was made out to be, and it was too short. In May of the same year, Nemesis Subterra was closed to make way for improvements, after which reviews were much more positive. After the unfortunate Smiler incident in 2015, Nemesis Subterra was announced to remain closed and has been standing but not operating in the Forbidden Valley section of the park ever since. Recently, there has been some speculation regarding this attraction, with sightings of the workers entering the building. With the closure of Nemesis for its retrack, it is possible that we could see the reopening of Nemesis Subterra for the 2023 season. Toyland Tours was a magical boat ride aimed at young children, offering the tour of a toy factory in the dark. The factory had a wide range of toys, from robots to teddy bears, and even an appearance from Sonic the Hedgehog. The attraction originally opened in 1981 as Around the World in 80 Days, before it was rethemed to Toyland Tours in 1994. In 2006, the ride was rethemed once again to make Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which closed at the end of the 2015 season. And in 2019, it became the Alton Towers Dungeons. The story of Hex, the Legend of the Towers, has been told to visitors to Alton Towers since the attraction's opening in 2000. The story is based on the chained oak, located in the town of Alton. The chained oak is in fact real, and you can visit the tree by following the public footpath to the left of the chained oak bed and breakfast. Allegedly, the chaining of the tree took place around 1840, identifying the Earl from the story as John Talbot, the 16th Earl of Shrewsbury. Many people believe that the existence of the chained oak is evidence that the legend is real, and that although some embellishments were added to the story of Hex, the tree was in fact cursed. While others believe that the deaths in the Earl's family were merely a coincidence with the falling of the oak's branches. John Wardley is a well-known developer for theme parks and had major influence on the design and planning of Chessington World of Adventures. He became director for the Two Swords Group, who later acquired Alton Towers Resort, and was involved with the expansion of the group. John worked with Alton Towers on the design and concept of the park's biggest attractions, such as the Runaway Mine Train, the Haunted House, Nemesis, Oilblivion, Air, 13 and Wicker Man. He also had major influence on the design and layout of roller coasters at other theme parks, such as Dragon Khan at Portaventura, Megaphobia at Oakwood Theme Park, and Colossus at Thorpe Park. It is safe to say that without the work of John Wardley, the Alton Towers Resort would not be as magical and thrilling as it is today. Ripsaw was a top spin ride which was added to the Forbidden Valley section of the theme park in 1997. This thrilling ride sat 40 people on a two-tier gondola, which was rotated by two robotic arms. Below the gondola was water jets, which riders were lowered towards, soaking an unlucky few. The ride was themed to a piece of discarded machinery, presumably from the excavation pit of Nemesis. Spectators were attracted to the site to watch riders screaming and getting soaked by the fountains. In its later years, Ripsaw was facing increasing downtime, and one of the ride's main features, the water fountains, would often not interact with the ride, sometimes not functioning at all. Due to cutbacks in 2015, the ride was closed and later removed at the end of the season. In 1968, Alton Towers was little more than a country estate with a small fairground. A couple named Stephen and Suzanne Roper moved into their home 100 yards away from the now entrance of Alton Towers. As the fairground began to expand, the couple objected to plans from Alton Towers to the construction of major roller coasters, from the Corkscrew in 1980 to Air in 2002. In 2004, the couple brought Two Swords Group, who are not owners of Alton Towers, to court over noise levels coming from the park. They won the case, and a restriction on noise levels was placed on the park. The biggest culprit of the noise was identified as Oilblivion, and the "Don't Look Down" message, just before the drop, was removed from the ride, as this was believed to induce more screaming. In 2007, the Ropers once again brought Two Swords Group to court, this time claiming that noise levels from concerts and firework displays were too high. They lost this case though, with the theme park lawyers highlighting the World Health Organization guidelines, stating that noise levels between 50 and 55 decibels were acceptable, below which the effect of noise should be negligible. Just 1 year later, the Ropers brought up another case against Alton Towers. However, they were forced to drop this case as the ownership of the park changed from the Two Swords Group to Mellon Entertainments. Finally, in 2011, the Ropers brought another case to court regarding a claim for stricter noise injunction and compensation backdated from 1998. The judge threw out this case following a lack of urgency, citing the delays in following up on the matter. A more senior judge reviewed the case and adjourned the case, citing that the costs for developers would be grave if they were to lose the case. Since 2011, there has been no further reported legal activity by the ropers against Alton Towers. In 1990, Thunderlooper, a steel shuttle loop coaster manufactured by Schwarzkopf, was installed in the Thunder Valley, now Forbidden Valley section of the park. This coaster originally operated as King Cobra in King's Dominion from 1977 to 1986, and under the same name at Jolly Roger Amusement Park from 1987 to 1989. Although the coaster only had one train, it had a large hourly rider capacity at 1,400 riders per hour due to the short ride cycle. The launch was achieved by a 40-ton counterweight, which was inside a tower below the first incline of the coaster. A lap bar was used to restrain riders, offering a very intense experience. During the operation of Thunderlooper, Alton Towers was subject to more restrictions due to complaints from local residents, and the effects on nearby nature. The tree line restriction came into place, meaning that the Thunderlooper had to be removed, as it could be seen above the tree line. In 2003, Alton Towers, as well as Thorpe Park and Chessington World of Adventures, started a sponsorship with Ribena. With the introduction of a new funhouse-style attraction at Alton Towers, aimed at young children, it was named Ribena Berry Bish Bash. In this attraction, guests participated in the berry juicing process, using mechanical devices and firing berries from cannons. The attraction was spread around 2 tiers with climbing frames and slides. In 2007, the sponsorship with Ribena ended, leaving the attraction simply named as Berry Bish Bash, and in 2013, the attraction was completely rethemed, opening in the following year as Justin's House Pyomatic Factory, a fairly similar attraction to what it had been before. During the development of Nemesis Subterra, Alton Towers appointed Jack Osborne a new role within the park, Director of Fear. He was said to be involved with all stages of the ride's development, and supposedly was the first to ride the attraction, guaranteeing that every element was as scary as possible. Reviews of the ride on opening, however, indicate that Jack did not do a great job in his new role, with reviews stating that the attraction was not at all terrifying. The Mini Apple coaster was a classic Big Apple MB28 coaster with a wacky worm layout. This was a mass-produced design manufactured by Pimfari. The giant caterpillar took riders on a 2-lap journey around the track and through a giant fiberglass apple. The coaster operated at the park from 1981 up until 1997, when it was sold to Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach, and still operates to this day under the name Big Apple. Spinball Whizzer, a one-of-a-kind spinning coaster manufactured by Maura Rides, opened in 2004. This coaster takes riders on a journey around a life-size game of pinball as they whiz and spin around the track. Alton Towers had previously made a deal with Sega for the use of Sonic the Hedgehog in Toyland Tours. Through a new deal with Sega in 2010, Spinball Whizzer was transformed into Sonic Spinball, with a brand new soundtrack, repainting of the coaster's supports to bright blue, character stickers on the front of each car, and a large Sonic statue at the ride's entrance. There was even a brand new Sonic-themed room at the Alton Towers Hotel. The sponsorship was due to end in 2013. However, it was extended for a further 2 years, until the beginning of the 2016 season. All of the Sonic-related theming had disappeared, apart from one. The Sonic statue can still be seen to this day outside of the Magic headquarters. Since its opening in 1994, the theming of Nemesis has always impressed visitors to the park. When it first opened, the waterfalls next to the queue line and the lake below the loop were coloured blood red. Over time, the colour varied from a deep red to a pink colour, but this was a feature that very much added to the queuing experience and the overall aesthetic of Nemesis. Unfortunately, the waterfall is no longer red or even pink. In 2012, there were several occasions where the red dye was not used, and this was believed to be due to heavy rainfall and flooding. However, at the beginning of the 2014 season, the red water was nowhere to be seen and has not returned since. The resort has not confirmed the reason for the removal of this feature. However, speculation says that the dye is no longer used due to the red water being released into external water, harming the natural environment. This is said to have happened due to human error of an employee. For a brief period in April 2011, Oilblivion was sponsored by Fanta. The Fanta company had also put the Oilblivion roller coaster into one of their adverts to show that the brand was being sponsored at Alton Towers. However, much of the Fanta branding was removed after only a few months, following numerous complaints about the obtrusive nature of the brand. Before the construction of Secret Weapon 3, Nemesis, there were plans for Secret Weapons 1 and 2. Secret Weapon 1 was where the Secret Weapon codename all started. In 1991, planning began on an Arrow pipeline coaster, with a similar theme to Oilblivion. Blasting had begun in preparation for construction, however, plans for this coaster were scrapped. In 1992, these plans were revisited for SW2. However, after John Wardley wrote the prototype of this coaster, it was deemed unsuitable due to it being slow, cumbersome, and boring, as well as inefficient. The site where blasting took place is where Nemesis is now located, and if SW1 or 2 were built, the park would not have its world-famous coaster. If you have ever rode on Wicker Man, when exiting through the gift shop, you may have noticed a smaller scale Wicker Man statue on display, based on one of the ride's main features. Handcrafted by original artist Emma Stothard, this piece stands at nearly 4 foot tall and features the double-sided head of the Wicker Man and ram. You can purchase this statue for £3,500. Operating at Alton Towers since 1992, the Runaway Mine Train is the oldest roller coaster at Alton Towers and has always been a firm favourite coaster for families. On July 20th, 2006, an unfortunate incident occurred. The failure of a coupling on the train caused it to split into 2 sections, which then collided in the tunnel. 20 people were injured, 6 of whom were taken to a hospital. 4 of the 6 were sent home, and 2 were kept in overnight. On April 6, 2007, the Runaway Mine Train reopened after being closed for over 8 months. The train was not returned to its full length until the end of June 2007, because some of the carriages were still undergoing refurbishment at MacRides. 2008 saw the removal of Corkscrew, a coaster loved by many, and it was known that it would take up a lot to live up to this iconic coaster, which put Alton Towers on the theme park map. The following year, plans for a brand new world's first coaster were approved to be located on the site, and in the summer of that year, construction began, and marketing began to appear on site. Guests were told to ride the Demon of the Dark Forest and surrender in 2010, starting much speculation over what Secret Weapon 6 would be. As Scarefest 2009, hooded rats were seen roaming around the Ugland area in the build-up to the new ride. Warning signs were put up explaining their appearance was linked to next year's new ride. On December 11th, 2009, a press release officially unveiled the name of the new roller coaster, 13. Alton Towers released many online and television teaser videos in the run-up to the opening of the ride. These included a video of a truck supposedly driving the secret weapon, and 3 promotional blipverts, which featured a possessed girl walking in a forest. The full adverts were released before opening day, with a pre-watershed and a post-watershed version. The advertisement, to be shown after 9 PM, included the same girl seen in previous videos being entangled by moving branches, as she whispered, "If you go down to the woods today, you'd better not go alone. 13. The advert used a short but darker version of the Alton Towers theme music, Edvard Grieg's In the Hall of the Mountain King. There were many publicity stunts on the opening year of 13. An early press release on the ride stated that the park was considering limiting passengers to 1 ride per day and requiring them to sign a waiver of liability. They also said there would be an age restriction of 16 to 55 years old allowed on. This, however, was only a marketing ploy, and there were no age limits or other restrictions put in place, aside from the height restrictions. Riders must be over 1.2 metres and under 1.96 metres to ride. Due to the marketing campaign and the publicity stunts, guests were led to believe that 13 was, in fact, going to be the scariest roller coaster in the world. However, this was not the case, with it being a coaster designed for families. Many guests were disappointed with 13 due to this, and this was reflected in early reviews of the coaster. Submission was a chance-ride double inverter, which was added to the X-Sector area of Alton Towers in 2001. Unfortunately, this ride was not as popular as the park first hoped. Its advertising campaign and the slogan "Hang in there" created much anticipation. However, due to the restrictive nature of the restraints, it made a very uncomfortable experience for many. As well as this, the ride was not as thrilling as it looked. The gondola moved in a very controlled manner, and the restraints took away much of the free-falling feeling. In its later years, it was common for only one arm of the ride to operate, due to low demand and maintenance reasons. For part of 2012, it was decided that submission would be closed to allow for the construction of the Smiler. However, it still operated through most of the construction. With the Smiler opening in 2013, it was hoped that the crowds drawn to the new ride would partly disperse at submission. However, this did not happen, and due to low popularity and maintenance reasons, it was decided that the ride would be closed permanently, being fully removed from the park in 2014. In 1989, to celebrate National Food and Farming Year, Alton Towers opened the Britannia Building Society Farm, an educational area including a milking parlour where guests could go to see cows being milked, and a farm-orama, an exhibit of modern farming techniques. In 1992, the area became Safeway Farm, the farm-orama was removed, and the milking parlour became the barn, where guests could get more hands-on with the animals. Old MacDonald took up residence in the farmyard for the 1995 season, expanding the area's attractions with the addition of Doodle-Doo Derby, Old MacDonald's tractor ride, and Old MacDonald's singing barn. Sadly, in 2002, due to foot and mouth disease, it was decided that the animals would be removed from the farmyard to prevent the spread of the disease. It was confirmed that 1 cow, 6 sheep, 3 pigs and 8 goats were killed. This area of the park remained open until 2014, when it underwent a major retheme to CBeebies Land. The Alton Towers Resort gets a majority of its heat and electrical power demand for its hotels and water park from a combined heat and power system located on site. Plans for the system were proposed in 2015, and the plant was to be located next to the Splash Landings Hotel. The combined heat and power plant generates 850 kilowatt-hours of power, resulting in 80% efficiency, and the resort has cut carbon emissions substantially through this power system. Even before the opening of SW8, there has been much speculation over the possibility of an SW9, what it would be, where it would be located, and when it would be built. Recently, Alton Towers announced plans for a new indoor attraction in the Coaster Corner section of the park. The name of the project is currently Project Horizon, and in the planning documents, it can be seen that the proposed building is approximately 71 metres in length, 46 metres in width, and 19.4 metres in height, with the total project cost proposed at £12.5 million. Although the type of attraction to be housed within this building is yet to be confirmed, within the planning documents, it is referred to in many places as a roller coaster. So, will this be Secret Weapon 9? Most likely, yes, in my opinion, since it has been almost 5 years since the last Secret Weapon opened, and it is unlikely that Merlin would invest such a sum of money in a standard attraction. So what will Secret Weapon 9 be if it is to be Project Horizon? Well, there are just too many options to discuss here. I speculated in a previous video of mine that the project could be linked to a previous roller coaster at Alton Towers. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link that here. With the retrack of Nemesis taking place, perhaps a brand new model of B&M coaster, since there will be B&M workers in the park for a considerable amount of time. As for when SW9 or Project Horizon will be built, it is not likely to be in the next couple of years due to the retracking of Nemesis throughout 2023, and the new coaster currently being built at Chessington World of Adventures, and the coaster planned for Thorpe Park. So, if SW9 is to be, it is likely to be at least 3 years until it will open. The Smiler had a very extensive marketing campaign, from television advertisements to posters. One of the most obscure marketing strategies was when the Smiler logo was sprayed onto sheep around the UK. The logo was also seen, projected onto Big Ben. On July 22nd, 2010, Alton Towers announced on their Facebook page that 13 would be closed on Friday the 13th of August 2010 because of superstitious reasons. Morwenna Ungove, head of marketing at the resort, stated that our research has revealed that Britons are a seriously superstitious bunch, and as our latest ride is named after the unluckiest of numbers, we've taken the decision to close that ride on Friday the 13th to reassure our visitors. It was later revealed that the ride was to be renamed 14 throughout Friday the 13th of August 2010 instead of closing. New limited edition merchandise was available during the day, featuring the 14 name. Most signage to the ride was temporarily changed to feature the new name. On April 9th, 2005, just 1 week after the opening of Rita Queen of Speed, the coaster was renamed to Camilla Queen of Speed to celebrate Prince Charles's marriage to Camilla Parker Bowles. For 1 day only, signage and ride trains were altered, with the Camilla name and a television advert aired to market this. The Skyride is a transportation ride at Alton Towers, and it has been in operation since 1987. In more recent years, it has had many issues. In 2004, due to a strong gust of wind, the Skyride cables became caught, jamming the ride. About 80 people were on the ride at the time, and 9 people had to be rescued by being abseiled down a 60-metre of cable. During the 2007 Scarefest season, a fire broke out in the Forbidden Valley section of the park due to a halogen lamp that damaged the roof and mechanics of the Skyride. The damage was repairable, but the ride had to be closed for 6 months before reopening midway through the 2008 season. Fortunately, no one was harmed. The Skyride suffered another fire, on July 21st, 2009, in the Towers section of the park due to a faulty vending machine. The fire destroyed the entire Cloud Cuckoo Land station. Over the following season, the station was rebuilt and ready for the 2010 season. Representing Finland at Eurovision 2022, the Rasmus performed Jezebel. Enthusiasts began to speculate due to the black and yellow outfits and stage theming. The band had a strong resemblance to the theming of the Smiler. There was no confirmation of the inspiration for the styling of the band, but Alton Towers fans like to believe their outfits were inspired by the Smiler. In the original Rollercoaster Tycoon game, there is a downloadable Alton Towers scenario, with many pre-built rides and attractions, such as the Corkscrew, Nemesis, Oilblivion, and even the Swan Boat Ride. John Woodley assisted in the creation of this scenario, as well as later assisting in the development of its sequel, Rollercoaster Tycoon 3, where his name can be used as a cheat code, ironically, to remove all height restrictions from the park. As a tribute, in the clearing of trees, west of the steel corkscrew coaster, is the name John Woodley spelled out in bushes. According to the creator of the game, Chris Sawyer's website, Alton Towers wanted to use some of the music from Rollercoaster Tycoon in the park. A suite of music for the Swan Boat Ride was going to be created from several of the theme pieces in the game, but unfortunately the project was cancelled. Your Day used a wristband equipped with radio frequency identification, which was able to pinpoint guests on cameras around the park and record footage of them while they were on rides. Your Day launched in 2007, and guests were able to purchase a DVD with footage for £19.99. Unfortunately, the full lineup of attractions did not support Your Day until 2008, leading to many guest complaints. Another concern was for the privacy of guests, since they were being tagged and tracked on Big Brother-style cameras. There was also the issue of a lot of stock footage being mixed in with actual footage of the guests. By 2009, sadly, the supplier of Your Day had declared bankruptcy and was removed from Alton Towers. Alton Towers is no stranger of obscure marketing and PR schemes. However, one of the most obscure ones is the Oilblivion logos on condoms. Condom makers Durex teamed up with Alton Towers to promote safer sex among young people with the launch of a new condom. The Durex range of Oilblivion condoms were wrapped in the same distinctive black and orange colours used on the ride. The spokeswoman for Durex said that by launching the condoms sold individually, we hope to encourage young people to use them. Now they can go for a spectacular and terrifying ride, followed by a rather safe one. While riders queue for Oilblivion, they are shown 3 briefing videos featuring actor Rennie Krupinski as a sinister man surrounded in darkness, who explains at length the physical and psychological effects of riding on Oilblivion. Although based upon true scientific facts, his speeches are deliberately exaggerated with hyperbole and dark humour to give riders a sense of intimidation while preparing for Oilblivion. The man remains unnamed throughout the videos, although the character was originally referred to as Lord of Darkness during production. The final pre-show features a second character whose image appears inverted and therefore glowing white. He argues with the Lord of Darkness as to whether Oilblivion is safe for riders to experience, to which he is repeatedly ignored. The Lord of Darkness maintains that the ride is safe, before the video ends with the sound of his ominous laughter.
Have a pleasant trip. See you around. Bye.
As part of the marketing campaign for the Smiler in February 2013, Alton Towers released a game available for Android and iOS. The Smiler game had 3 main sections: the game, the Smiler scanner, and the Wheel of Win. The application opened with a video, followed by the above menu screen, playing sinister metallic music with hints of the famous music associated with Alton Towers, in the Hall of the Mountain King. The Wheel of Win allowed users to spin a wheel every day for a chance to win prizes related to Alton Towers Resort. Prizes included park tickets, fast track tickets, hotel stays, and behind-the-scenes tours of the Smiler. The Smiler scanner was used to scan symbols around the park, which unlocked upgrades and bonuses for the game. The main section of the game, you would use an on-screen joystick to balance the ride car as it travelled around corners, and by completing each section, riders became marmalised. On the game you could upgrade the track and parts of the Marmalizer, the large themed structure at the centre. There was also an option for a secret world's first element, which remained locked until the Smiler opened in May 2013. The game was available to download up until the unfortunate incident in 2015. Since the aim of the game was to stop the roller coaster cars from crashing, it was no longer appropriate. An Alton Towers spokesperson released the following statement: "In light of recent events, the game will no longer be available to download," and the game was taken down from all app stores 72 hours after the incident. On July 15, 2005, a bomb disposal unit was called to the X sector area of the park as a suspicious package was found near Oilblivion. The item was described as a black bag and led to the evacuation of 1,800 people from the area. Visitors were stopped from entering the area for 3 hours until a controlled explosion was carried out, making the area safe. After investigation, it was determined that the package was harmless. Alton Towers has a rich history, with the towers being built around 1801, but the history dates back even further. There have been many reports of people queuing for Hex, the Legend of the Towers, being hit by small stones, with sightings of children being dressed in Victorian clothing. A common paranormal occurrence is the sighting of a lady in a long dark dress, strolling through the house's corridors. It is reported that when she is seen, you often smell a strong aroma of perfume. She takes on a very lifelike appearance, with one member of staff believing her to be a guest who was in the park after hours. She told her she was not allowed in there, and needed to leave. The woman did as she was asked, but slowly faded away, much to the fright of the staff member. During Most Haunted's investigation of the towers back in 2007, the team came across many reports. One of the team members was attacked by an unseen force, leaving him with a scratch to the head. Stones were also thrown throughout the night, and David Wells, the team's medium, picked up on a woman seen walking the corridors, leading him to believe she was a past governess and used to be in charge of the mansion. Located near Battle Galleons, there is a wooden post, nicknamed the Pointless Post. No one knows the origin or purpose of the Pointless Post, but many have attempted to find its use. Many of these theories suggested that something may be buried underneath the Pointless Post, or even the Pointless Post marking something, Another theory is that it is the burying ground for the fabled Henry Hound, while others believe that it's the final resting place for the Alton Towers magic. During the 2010 season, there was a shocking discovery made at the site of what used to be the Pointless Post. The Pointless Post had become metal. A twin of the Pointless Post can be found on the opposing side of the Battle Galleon's lake. Just like all of the secret weapons at Alton Towers, SW3 Nemesis had an extensive marketing campaign. One of the more unique pieces of promotional material that was created for the ride was a 34-page comic. The comic tells a story of a journalist investigating the myth of Nemesis and the disappearance of a professor who was studying the subject. Her investigation brings her in contact with the Phalanx, an elite force of warriors who have been summoned to protect Earth from Nemesis. They join forces and enter into battle with a cult who worship Nemesis in the hopes that they can prevent the ceremony that would awaken the monster. For Nemesis Subterra marketing campaign, an abridged version of the story was turned into an animated short and was used as an introduction to the legend that led to Subterra. On the 8th of May 2012, a reportedly suicidal 20-year-old man climbed over a tall safety fencing and managed to access the underground ride area of Oilblivion. Reportedly, he entered via the tunnel exit portal and walked underground, emerging on a ledge around the entrance portal of the ride. Neither he nor any guests on the ride were harmed, and he was later arrested for a public order offence, and the ride returned to normal operation the following day. In August 2004, Nemesis gained the Guinness World Record for the most naked people on a roller coaster. The ride set the record at 32 riders, the number of seats on a single Nemesis train. It took the record from Thorpe Park's Nemesis Inferno roller coaster, which set the record at 28. Just 3 months prior. This record was broken 6 years later when 40 people took to the stunt at Adventure Island in Southend NC. However, today the record stands at 195 people who rode the Grand National at Blackpool Pleasure Beach naked. So there we have it, the Alton Towers Iceberg. There are many other things I could have added here. So if you'd like to see a part 2, and if you'd like to see an iceberg for any other UK theme parks, let me know down in the comments. This video did take a very long time to make, since there have been a lot of updates within the park in the last few months, and I did have to do a lot of research. So I'd really appreciate it if you liked and shared this video if you did enjoy it. If you'd like to see more content like this, it would mean a lot if you subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.